It's a pleasure to be here this morning. Welcome to all. I always look forward to our annual general meeting. It's an opportunity to reflect on what has been accomplished over the past year and also to look forward to some of the exciting opportunities that lie ahead. I should say that as is required by securities regulations, I need to draw your attention to this important note concerning the use of forward-looking statements and information in this presentation, and many of you will have seen this before. It says basically that there are many factors that can cause our actual results to vary. Forward-looking statements involve risks and uncertainties and are based on numerous assumptions. Certain of these risks and other factors are described in our public filings with Canadian securities regulators and with the SEC, and we do not assume the obligation to revise or update any forward-looking statements except as required by law. Now, before I start going through the review of the year, I do want to add my personal thanks to Teck and his wife Midori for their dedicated service to Teck over the past 10 years or more. I just want to say, Teck, it's been a pleasure working with you. You are a class act all the way, and we will certainly miss you. Thank you for such a great contribution. I'd like to start the year in review with a few comments about safety. We're very proud of the culture of safety that is developing at Teck, and all of the things that Warren described are very important to us. And this begins with courageous safety leadership program that we have and the vision of everyone going home safe and healthy every day. And we are seeing results. Injury frequency has continued to improve across the majority of our operations. We also analyze all of the high potential incidents and use this knowledge to target the areas of highest risks to our employees. And while our work is not complete, in fact, it's never complete, we continue to embed safety into every action, every day, across the entire company. We're very pleased with the financial results for the year. Entering 2010, we had very clear financial goals, and I'm pleased to report that each one of these goals was achieved. We set a new record for the company for revenues in 2010 at over $9.3 billion and record operating profit before depreciation of around $4.5 billion. After depreciation and amortization, the operating profit was almost $3.6 billion, which was up 30% over 2009. By April of last year, we had completed the repayment of the original $9.8 billion Fording acquisition bank debt in less than 18 months, and that was 33 months ahead of schedule. Today, we are in very strong position with a healthy balance sheet and a very strong resource base. In 2010, we reported adjusted earnings of $1.5 billion, or $2.61 per share on a fully diluted basis, and that was 24% higher than the adjusted earnings per share last year. Adjusted EBITDA was $4 billion for the year. We also declared semi-annual dividends totaling 50 cents per share, and today I am pleased to announce that Teck will pay an eligible dividend of 30 cents per share on all of its outstanding Class A and Class B shares on July 5th of this year to shareholders of record at the close of business on June 15th, 2011. In 2010, we continued to improve operational performance in each of our key business areas. In coal, we increased production by 4.2 million tons over 2009. Our production was hampered by a fire at Green Hills Dryer and, of course, bad weather and labor disruptions, as you know. So we fell short of our target of 23.5 by about 500,000 tons, but it was still a significant increase over the previous year. In copper, we also made good progress in advancing the Quebrada Blanca copper concentrator project and the Relincho project in Chile. Work continues at Highland Valley as we push back both the east and west walls of the Valley Pit to access additional ore sources. And overall, copper production in 2010 increased by about 5,000 tons, and we expect a greater increase this year. In zinc, we began mining the Akaluk deposit at our Red Dog zinc lead mine in Alaska, which is expected to provide sufficient ore to enable operations to continue until at least 2031. In energy, we have increased our oil sands resources by over 33%. And we also partnered with Suncor on a joint venture to develop the Wintering Hills Wind Power Project in Alberta, an exciting project for Teck that supports our commitment to increasing the amount of renewable energy related to our operations. I want to talk in more detail about two items in coal and copper. First, in coal, many of you may not realize this, but Teck, in fact, is the largest rail shipper in Canada. Over 27 million metric tons of coal and concentrates and other raw materials and refined metal are moved on Canada's rail system each year by Teck. In coal, transportation is critical to our competitiveness. And that is why we negotiated a 10-year rail agreement with CP to transport coal from our Elk Valley steelmaking coal mines to Vancouver area ports. And this agreement will provide greater certainty around transportation while allowing for future growth. We are very, very pleased with our relationship with Canadian Pacific Railways, and we think that 10-year agreement is off to a terrific start. We were also able to negotiate new contracts with West Shore and with Ridley Terminals, and we have expanded the Neptune bulk terminals where we are the operator, and there will be further expansions to come. Copper, of course, forms an integral part of our diversification strategy. It's one of the world's most versatile metals and one that civilizations have been using for at least 10,000 years. On a per capita basis, the use of copper in China is only about half that of North America, and yet China is now the world's greatest consumer of copper. And in India, the gap is even more staggering. Facts like these give us great confidence in the future market growth for copper. So I'm very pleased to report that just last week, we celebrated the expansion of our copper concentrator project at Carmen de Coyo. We also took the opportunity to announce that we will undertake a new expansion study to examine the feasibility of increasing annual production. Our mines and projects in Chile are a very important part of our future. They are aligned with our strategy of owning operations in stable jurisdictions that are both cost competitive and that generate strong growth. As anyone who follows this sector knows, the strength of commodity markets these days is largely a function of the demand for raw materials in China and other developing countries. In China, the urban population is expected to grow by approximately 350 million people over the next 15 years. And to put that in perspective, that is the equivalent of building a city the size of Metro Vancouver, where we have a population of 2.1 million, from the ground up almost every month for the next 15 years. Just imagine building a whole Vancouver every month. This tremendous demographic shift, combined with a growing middle class, rapid economic and industrial growth, supports exponential increases in copper, galvanized steel, and steelmaking coal demand that will be the cornerstone of our future business. Global demand for energy is also showing no signs of abating. By 2015, the International Energy Agency estimates that the use of oil in China will increase some 70% from 2009 levels, and that will account for 42% of global demand over that period of time. In order to help meet this demand, and looking at our near and medium-term growth opportunities, we expect to grow our annual copper production to over 400,000 tons in the relatively near term, our coal production to over 30 million tons, and through our interest in Fort Hills, we expect to have an equity interest in more than 30,000 barrels of oil per day of bitumen production. And this growth would significantly add to the strong free cash flow that analysts are forecasting for us over the next couple of years. Equally important to Teck's future will be continuing to advance development projects. In coal, the feasibility study for the restart of the Quintet coal mine is proceeding, and it's expected to be completed by the middle of this year, not too long from now. Assuming the results of the study are positive and development proceeds, the mine could be in production by 2013. In copper, at Relincho, the pre-feasibility is underway, and it's expected to be completed in the third quarter of 2011. The new expansion study at Carmen de Coyo is expected to be complete by the end of the fourth quarter in 2011. At Quebrada Blanca, a full feasibility study commenced in early 2011, and it's expected to be completed by the end of the first quarter in 2012. A positive feasibility study could potentially result in a decision to undertake project development and begin construction with production as early as 2016. And then the Galore Creek pre-feasibility is also expected to be complete in the second quarter, in this quarter, actually in the not-too-distant future. So you can see that Tim Watson and his team and the whole copper division and coal division are very busy with growth opportunities for the company. We have also built a substantial leasehold position in the Alberta oil sands. The most advanced project, of course, in our portfolio is Fort Hills, which is planned as a mine-only, producing bitumen at the rate of 164,000 barrels per day in the first phase. At Frontier and Equinox, we are working on pre-feasibility studies, and we expect to be ready to file a regulatory application in the first half of this year. In the second half of this year. But always, despite the tremendous resources we've accumulated over the last 5 years, the greatest resource of all at Teck is our people. And in every decision and every action we take, all employees are guided by our core values you see listed here: safety, integrity, excellence, discipline, commitment and teamwork, innovation, and respect. And one individual who embodied these values and is retiring this year is Howard Chu, who was Vice President of Asian Affairs and Chief Representative in China. Howard joined Teck in 1978, and since that time has made numerous important contributions to the accounting function in the company and to our Asia activities. And Howard, I want to say congratulations on your retirement, and we wish you well as you move into the next phase of your life after over 30 years at Teck. Thank you very much, Howard. Howard, would you stand up? Howard's there at the back there. The pursuit of sustainability is central to the core values that drive Teck's approach to business. And that was recognized in 2010, as I mentioned, when Teck was appointed to the Dow Jones Sustainability World Index, which recognizes the sustainability performance of the top 10% of companies across the mining industry globally. Last year, I spoke to you about zinc and the efforts we are making to raise awareness about the devastating impacts of zinc deficiency. And we continue to focus on this initiative, and I can tell you that progress is being made. Just last week, the International Zinc Association, of which I am still chair, and the Chinese government announced a new joint study to promote zinc fertilizer use in Chinese agriculture. And this is going to be a very, very significant development within the zinc industry. And this is just one example of how, in partnership with the IZA, we at Teck continue to raise awareness about zinc and its potential to improve health.